Hello, thank you for bearing with us. We're a day late. It's all been going on.
It's been a horrible time.
It's been a funny old week. So
not funny,
haha.
Yeah.
If you can hear crashing and banging in the background, that is because Derek is here and he's working on the radiators, but he's working on the one in the room above here.
Yeah,
but it's obviously clanging all down.
So ordinarily, of course, if we were, really professional filmmakers, we would wait till he'd finished. But we felt that it would add to the atmosphere of living in a chateau that's freezing cold.
And also, we're not going to ask him to stop because we want the radiators done.
No, we want the radiators done. And so apologies, but you're just going to have to put up with it.
So what happened yesterday? So he's here putting thermostat controls on the radiators because we have radiators, we have a boiler, but the problem is...
Of sorts.
The problem is it's got these really ancient controls on which are rusted.
Yeah.
And you can't actually turn them at all. So there's no control, there's no thermostat.
So they're just open.
So when the heating is on, it's just on full blast. So it means that if we put any fuel in the system, we'd burn through it in...
It goes like that.
You're literally taking, like Euro notes and just chucking them out the window. Just like, bye.
But it gets nice and warm in here, though, when the heating's on.
When it works.
So like 22, 23 degrees. Yeah. Fantastic. Walk around in T-shirts. So we can't have that. So that's why we're putting the thermostatic heads controlled by 21st century Wi-Fi. Wow, fantastic.
Yeah, that'd be fancy. So
assuming, of course, we have electricity.
So then every room will be controlled separately because there's no point heating the other half of the chateau if we're in here all day, So it's got to be sensible. It's the only way we can sort of manage to afford to heat it at all, I think.
I've just thought, actually, the thing that we should invent, because I saw on that famous Chinese app that we all shop on now, that you can buy heated jackets, right? And then, but you have to buy one of those power blocks, and you plug it in, and then suddenly, just now, the idea came of your own personal heated bubble that you could, all your clothes were heated and you could just get dressed in the morning, plug in, and hopefully you're not still damp from the shower and then just walk around with no heating in the house at all.
Get one for the dogs as well. Get one each for them.
Yeah, they're all right. They've got, walking around with a fur coat on, aren't they? And then we had, and with the absolute joy of a power cut for 24 hours.
Yeah, that was on Thursday.
And so I was right in the middle of an edit. I was pretty much close to the end of it. I tend to do the voiceovers at the end. Claire and I do the voiceovers at the end. And everything just stopped. So it just went like that. And I thought, oh, and then the backup battery kicked in. And I thought, oh, that's all right. No, it works. That's really good. Then it went, and then just nothing. And I have to say that ordinarily, normally if we get a long power cut here, we get warning. They'll give us warning because they're working on the system or whatever.
But this was really stormy.
Yeah. And so 24 hours is a long time. And I think the thing that was most noticeable is the dependency that we have now on electricity.
Oh, completely. Obviously, so we did, dinner by candlelight, breakfast by candlelight. But then, we couldn't even make a cup of tea. So we got the wood burner going. So saucepan of water into the wood burner to try and make tea. It was very nice. It was very smoky tea.
Very smoky tea, and saucepan was very smoky afterwards. It was just sooty jet black at the end of it. But it was quite, I don't know, it was quite a sort of like caveman experience.
Yes, it was.
It was quite nice. And I have to say, I was very, very tempted to whack a steak on there as well. Try and find like a grill system and then stick a steak on there, or some nice couple of lamb chops would have been nice.
But it was interesting. So we were walking around with candles and some little LED lights that we bought for summer evenings outside. So thankfully they still had a bit of charge in them.
Yeah.
So we were using those, and it was a real sort of reminder, or it really gave the feeling of how this place would have been. You know, how dark it is at night,
and
how quiet as well. Because I was saying that to you. There's always like a background hum with electricity, isn't there? From the fridge, from whatever bits are on the house. And it was just absolutely dead quiet, pitch black, blooming cold. So yeah,
you have that in the city as well, don't you? Which you very much notice when you live in a place like this and you go into a city, like sort of like in London. You know, there is a permanent noise about a city, isn't there? First of all, there's the hum of the power, and then there's the constant traffic background noise and the sirens and all the rest of it. It's very interesting.
You're totally used to it when you live there. I mean, we lived in London
you don't notice it at all.
For ages. You don't notice it. Then you come here, you get used to the absolute quiet, and then go back to London for a weekend and suddenly can't sleep because every single bus, every single taxi, every single motorbike wakes you up.
Yeah, talking of quiet, sorry about that. You know,
very big mice we have.
Oh God!
Yeah, so
and then
of which, so that's why we were late today, because in order to get the radiators going, we then have to turn the boiler on, which hasn't been turned on for a very long time. And so you turned it on, it went meh.
Well, I couldn't turn it on. I went in there. There was no power feed to the boiler, and try and picture the boiler. The boiler is pretty much something that you would find in a cruise liner. It's a big thing.
It's a beast.
And it is a beast. And so I went in there, and there's a little light that tells you that everything is okay. And the little light was not on, so it was telling me this is not okay.
Everything is not okay.
So I tried the various things that I know, and nothing was happening. So he phoned the wonderful Aurélien, the electrician, and to his credit, so I phoned him in the morning, and to his credit, he turned up in the evening, which was extraordinary. It was chucking it down with rain. It was miserable last night. And we walked into the boiler room, which is outside, and anyway, he tried something, and then it cut all the power. So we had to sort that one out. And then we opened the control box, which is really big thing. It's like this sort of big. And to look inside, to look at the motherboards, the circuitry, and it was all just burnt out. But it was burnt out. Why? It was burnt out because mice had got in there. It was disgusting. Really, really foul. So, the various liquids that emanate had short-circuited the whole system.
I don't know how they're getting in.
I don't know, but they get in. They just get in everywhere, don't they? It's quite extraordinary. So as a result of that, we need one main motherboard and 2 other circuitry boards, which is a lot of money. And so I was very, very annoyed last night, to the point of chucking it all in and just going, I've had enough of this.
Let's go and get that 1-bedroom flat somewhere.
Well, not that, but I just, just sort of I just had enough, because the maintenance on this place is, it can be really forbidding. And I tell you what, last night it came crashing down on me like a ton of bricks, and to the point where I just thought, I don't want to live like this anymore. I've had enough. So anyway, I feel a bit better this morning. I had about 3 espressos and a cappuccino. and went to the boulangerie to try and make myself a bit happier. Now I just don't feel very well because I've eaten too many croissants. So it's not looking great at the moment, really. So I'm afraid the jolly Lionel has abandoned me. Hopefully not for too long.
Hopefully not for too long. Anyway, we've been up to other stuff. So we had an interview this week with a journalist from West.
Journalist?
Journalist?
Say that again.
A whole real journalist.
You had an interview with
a journalist.
A journalist?
From this newspaper, West France.
Which no doubt you've never heard of before.
Well, no, I don't think they go all around the world.
No, but it's worth pointing... No, they don't go around the world. But it's worth pointing out that having done a little bit of research about West France, it has for newspapers, right, whose circulations have been hit very hard by online publications, news organisations. Its circulation in France is, I think it's just under 700,000, which is extraordinary. And I went and I compared it to one of the sort of big national daily papers in the UK, and they have a higher circulation than, I think it was something like the Daily Telegraph in the UK. It's a very conservative newspaper, but nevertheless, very, very interesting. And so we got interviewed by lovely Mathilde L'Oeil, who came, and she's the top boss of the local area.
And she put up with my terrible French.
She did. It wasn't. I tell you, honestly, we were doing this interview, right, and I was, babbling away in my French, and then Claire would butt in. I mean, literally, I'm going to talk now, and she pronounced her R's mostly perfectly, and she was babbling away. And there was one point I actually sort of went,
"What's going on?
What's going on? Where's all this stuff come from?" I was. There's a great word in French called époustouflant, which is like astonished. So I was époustouflé. There you go. There's a word for you to learn today. Try it now. Époustouflé. It's a great word. It feels like it comes from Mary Poppins or something like that.
Yes, it sounds very.
Yeah. Époustouflé.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
So you were.
I was époustouflé. Époustouflé. Yeah,
for you.
Anglicism of, exactly, franglade French word.
So hopefully, so she interviewed us for a bit. So what it's about us doing the YouTube channel, but also we've been asking around locally because we're trying to get the history of this place, not just like the grand history of the barons and the big families that lived here, which we've done a bit of, but we want the history of the people that worked here, the people who lived here for like generations of families, working here, working for the big families. We want their history because they're not recorded.
Yeah, I'd love to find that woman who stopped. I've talked about this before, but who stopped and told us a story about when she was a maid here and she forgot her pinny and got a massive rollicking from the Baron because she served him breakfast without her penny, God forbid. Different age, isn't it? I'd love to find her and interview her. I just, and take her back into that room and just see her reaction. It would be lovely. I mean, it was, like when the Baron's son was here and went into his old childhood bedroom, and he was, obviously genuinely moved because he hadn't been in here for 30 years or something. So it would be really lovely to find people like that. I mean, we have met people like that, but we don't. You tend to sort of like meet them when you're wandering around. You don't go, "Oh, give us your number," and they tell you a story. So it would be wonderful to be able to find.
Yeah.
People
So
like
hopefully, if this gets published, so if we can get a bit of publicity for that, it'd be really interesting for us. We can make a really interesting episode about it. I'd like to, start collecting it, putting it in a book or something, but just to know more about how people lived.
Yeah, I mean, what's
really
interesting is that, a lot of the people, like the de Tanguy episode about the two chateaux, there's a lot of history associated with the families that lived in here. but generally the families were aristocratic families. So inevitably, their history was recorded in some way, shape, or form in various publications. But the little people,
the little people,
yeah, okay, but but you know what I mean.
The normal people.
Oh well, I think little people's better. I mean, but the little people, they fall to one side, and to be honest, what's really interesting is the sort of like human aspect of these people working for aristocrats who are, I was going to say it, members of the lucky club. I went, all right, lucky sperm club, and
I hate that expression, but yeah, it's true.
But the trouble is, it describes it perfectly, doesn't it? Really, I mean, they're just incredibly lucky to be born into aristocratic, wealthy families, and they get all the good stuff that comes with it. So I have a genuine interest in recording their stories, because I think their stories are probably more descriptive of the times as they really were.
Of real life here.
Yeah.
Real life here. I hope there's still people around. I hope it's not too late to get some good stories, because I know lots of families aren't very good at sort of passing on history.
No, well, we're all dreadful, aren't we? I mean, absolutely appalling at passing on history. I mean, I know that certainly with my mother before she died, I would have loved to have gone into her experiences as a young child in France. She was, during the war, her family was just like completely split up, and she ended up in a convent. She wasn't very happy about that. And her brother went somewhere else, the other brother went it would have been so nice to actually have more of the detail. I really like the detail in terms of, like, I got up in the morning and I had to do this and I had to do that, and it was cold and I was forced to do this, that and the other. I had to go and tear the sheets off the monks' beds and wash them, and this, all these sort of like little details which I personally find charming, interesting.
Fascinating.
Yeah, just human interest, isn't it, really?
So that's our little project that I guess will just be ongoing, and we can just keep adding to. Which would be
I mean, she got back to us and she said that they've had an editorial meeting, and that so this is like a regional newspaper that gets published in, I think, about 15 different regions in France. And but they're going to publish us in all the regions, the world, right, so including Paris.
Yeah. So we'll put it up when we get it. We'll put it up. We'll put a translation up.
They're going to come and do video for their social media. So I don't know what we're going to be so embarrassed.
That's all cool. That's fun. And we've been. I don't know if you watched the episode that we managed to get out last night. So nearly there with finishing the salon. Yeah. It's just the woodwork takes so long to paint, but we're getting there. But I love, I have to say that, we've been down the route of like walking into a place, making a decision, choosing the colour, slapping the paint on, doing all sorts of stuff, and then within a few months you look at it and go, oh no, that's awful. Yeah.
And so we've absolutely learnt our lesson that when you're doing things like this, you take your time, you understand how you use a space, what kind of feel you want in a space, certainly when it comes to interior decorating. I do appreciate it, we get a lot of advice, but believe me, we know our stuff. We don't mess about. We spend a lot of time philosophizing about what we're going to do in a room.
Talking about how it's supposed to feel, and the look, the feel, how we want to use it. So we're getting there.
I think we put a lot more time and effort into what we do than maybe we would have done, 20 years ago, because we've learnt our lesson. We've done it. We've made so many terrible mistakes in our house, beautiful Georgian house in Peckham. We redid the bathroom 3 times. because we kept getting it wrong.
Yeah.
So we're just not going to make those mistakes again. And unfortunately, there are a lot of people on YouTube who join us because they think it's just DIY. Well, it's absolutely not. There will inevitably be DIY. Of course there'll be DIY, but that's not our raison d'être at all.
It's not. And also, I think we've talked about this before, you can't keep up with it. You can't just do DIY every day because we have to, there's life, there's admin, there's other stuff to do too.
Yeah,
And also, editing, but also, you do have to stop and think about what you're doing. I mean, you could plough ahead and get this all done in 6 months if you had the funds.
Yeah.
But I do want to do it in a considered way. I do want to think about it. I do want to make sure we're doing it right and just stop and think and get the colours right and all of that stuff. But yeah, anyway, it will be done for Christmas. It will be done for Christmas.
Oh, it'll definitely be done for Christmas.
Next year.
Well, because I happened to mention to Claire this morning that once we've done all the painting, we have this fabulous old floor wood polish that we picked up, and we've got like gallons of it. And it's amazing. I would imagine it's illegal now, but it's absolutely extraordinary.
It's beautiful stuff. It gives a really beautiful finish. So I would love to do the floors.
So we want to do the floors, so that's going to take a while as well.
That's an extra couple of days, isn't it, to get that?
Couple of days? Yeah, it should be a couple of days. And
I don't know how we do that because the house is the enfilade, so you walk through one room to get to the next room. Well, I don't know how we.
Well, we leave the hallway clear.
Yeah.
And wait till the main body of the room is dry.
Yeah.
Then we can and then we can do the.
Okay,
do
but
the
we
hallway.
have to set up some really interesting barricades to stop the animals.
Oh, animals! I know. I've just had an idea.
What's that?
What we do is we lock the cats in where the boiler is to get rid of all the nasty mice and things, and then
whilst we do the floor.
Whilst we do the floor, that's not going to work, is it?
It's not going to happen.
No.
Arthur has caught his first mouse, though. He was very proud of himself.
It wasn't a mouse.
No, it was like a little shrewy type thing.
And I like shrews. I like shrews a lot.
Okay, well, you're going to have a word with him then.
I shall. I'll have a proper little chat with Arthur.
Have some diagrams. It's like yes, no. Identifiers, targets.
Yeah, biscuit for that one, and then slap for that one. We had a really funny moment last night when Aurélien, the electrician, came, and he was just about to leave, and the two cats were sitting under my car outside, hiding from the rain. And he looked at Arthur and he went, "Is that your cat?" And I said, "Yeah, that's Arthur." He went, "But have you got another one?" I said, no, these are the two cats that you saw last time. I don't know, it came about a month ago, right? And he went, but I went, no, he's gone from this to he's massive now.
Absolute fluff bomb.
I hope he's not what are they called, Maine Coon?
Maine Coon, I think they're the massive ones. I don't think so, because Audrey's from the same litter and she's just tiny, so he's just a big chap.
A big lad. He's our Arthur.
Yeah.
Arthur the Great, I'm going to call him from now on.
That's good.
Yes, I think. So there you go. What else have you been up to?
Well, I think that's it, because we have been wittering on for a bit and we need to go and...
Wittering?
We also need to go and buy a dishwasher because the dishwasher decided to
yeah, there was another cracking event that was...
Just before Christmas, dishwasher. So
dishwasher, turn on, no lights, no nothing.
It has been limping along for a long time. It's been threatening to die. And it finally gave up. So
it's sort of like with its Swedish accent. I
can't take it anymore.
So I immediately went into the Muppet Swedish chef there. So I do apologise. Just so new dishwasher. We're going to order that today.
Yeah.
We'll just give up eating, shall we?
Yeah, and then we don't have to wash up.
Don't have to wash up.
We'll just go out for like McDonald's every day. That'd be great. We'll be really healthy.
So we'll be sitting here like Donald Trump in his private jet eating Big Macs.
Nice, very Chateau. Very,
Sorry, I mentioned
very
politics there. I do apologise. I won't do that again.
Okay, we'll leave it there, I think.
All right, we'll see you next week.
Hopefully, if we...
Well, hopefully, yeah. I may not be here. I may be sitting on a beach somewhere, having opened my new beach shack in Costa Rica, and having said, au revoir, la belle France. I've had it up to here. Anyway, you got a bit of a giggle from me, but that's all I'm doing today. I'm not doing any more. Yes, I am ticklish, yes. Anyway, see you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye for now.